All right, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today I want to talk about the AR-10, but the original cool version of the AR-10. I think a lot of modern AR-10s are, quite frankly, boring and soulless. Everything after the original SR-25, and then the few. I mean, there's a lot of cool military variants that followed that were used in the GWAT, but quite frankly, I don't care about your M-Lock 4-end lame thing that you shoot hogs at a helicopter with. I want to talk about and look at the historical examples, or at least as close as we can get, because today I have really the best option that you can almost still get your hands on. This is a Brownell's BRN-10. They made these a few years ago as part of their retro lineup. Now, like a lot of their brethren, like the Armalite AR-10B and a lot of the stuff that was built on Sendro receivers back in the day, kind of became unobtainium. And if you're not new here, if you're familiar with the channel, familiar with the Instagram page, you know that I like historical guns, and I have, I think, a fairly decent battle rifle collection. I got a G3, I got a FAL, I got an M14. And what I didn't have for a long time was an AR-10, because I wanted something, I want one of the real ones, or something that was a very close approximation to it. And I think this is one of the best options out there today. And out there today is generous. It took me a very long time to find one of these. After Brownell's shut down production of these guns, even the remaining parts sold out really fast. And now when you find them on Gunbroker, they are thousands and thousands of dollars. And mind you, these retailed about $1,500 from Brownell's brand new. So a lot of people that still have these are really taking advantage of the fact that you can't buy them new anymore. I was lucky enough to find a gentleman that was liquidating a quite large and impressive collection, and I bought this out of it, along with a few other things that we will see on the channel here soon. This one is a little bit different than a standard AR-10, simply in terms of color. This collector was very astute in his AR-10 knowledge, and he was very particular, and he didn't like the color of the AR-10 furniture as it came from Brownell's. So he actually had it dyed to better match the color of the originals. Now, it should be noted that Brownell's did manufacture this in two different patterns. You had the AR-10, I think it was just the A and B pattern that they called them. It was basically an early and a late AR-10. The version other than this one had black furniture, a different profile barrel, a different flash hider, a couple other small changes, but this is, like I said, as close as you can get, even down to the color of one of the original Armalite guns. Now, Armalite made these never in very large numbers, and really only in three major patterns. What this one is modeled off of, is closest to anyways, is the Cuban pattern. A few thousand of these were trialed by Batista's government, and then they said, okay, we'll take a decent pile of them in between the agreement of purchase and then the shipping of them from the Netherlands, because Armalite didn't have the capacity to manufacture these themselves. So they partnered with Armalite and Richtigen in the Netherlands to produce these guns. So they got produced. Then they were going to send them to Cuba. In the meantime, there was a revolution. Fidel Castro took over, and there was some debate as to whether, what was going to happen with these guns. Long story short, they showed up Fidel and his buddies loved these things, so they paid for them anyways. Worked out for Armalite and Artillery and Richtigen, and then these saw some service in Cuba with Fidel's higher end troops. Long story short, they also saw service in Portugal and a couple other places. Portuguese paratroopers were actually armed with AR-10s and Model 10 revolvers, dropping into some of the bush conflicts in Africa, which is pretty cool. Of all the battle rifles to be running around with, the AR-10 isn't a bad gun, comparatively speaking, to have, in some denser jungle environments. It's definitely lighter than both the FAL and the G3, accurate as either one of those, reliable as either one of those. Really, really fantastic guns. And I've decided to make this video now because I have finally got, a decent amount of rounds through it. 308's expensive. But I got about 500 rounds through this gun now, and quite frankly, it's great. I haven't had any hiccups. I've been using these 3 magazines. We'll look at them a little bit closer in a second. But this gun is great. If you can find one and you're interested in a historical AR-10, I would pick one up if it's at a halfway decent price, and you're not getting gouged by some jerk on Gunbroker. There are a few differences. Forgotten Weapons really does a great video comparing one of these to a Sendero receiver one that has an AR-10 upper, and then he also has videos on the evolution of the AR-10. So you can kind of compare and contrast there. I won't do too much of it here. I do just want to show off the markings. Obviously, they're not correct, but they're in the right spot and in roughly the correct font. So they did a pretty good job. It's not marked auto, unfortunately. It'd be cool, just like the H&R guns, even though they don't flip into that last position. It'd be cool if it was just there. But yeah, this gun is a lot of fun. I was expecting this gun to be a lot more unwieldy than it is, simply because it is a lot larger than what would come after it, the M16, the original M16 and the A1. But maybe to some of you out there, unsurprisingly, it handles a lot like a M16A1. Obviously, it's a little bit heavier, but if you're familiar with one of these guys, running around with the Brownell's AR-10 will not feel that out of place. The charging handle inside the carry handle, which obviously originally this was just a charging handle cover, and then it just effectively turned into a carry handle as a holdover later. Not the most ergonomic thing, but 9 times out of 10 you're going to be operating off of a held open bolt using the bolt release anyways, so really not a big deal, and certainly wasn't for the time. Maybe today's tactical turtlenecks out there obviously not going to like it, but it's really a lot of fun to use. And you'll see some features that will later come back. This adjustable rear sight, you'll see that again on the M16A2. Granted, it's not adjustable both ways, but this is almost the exact same piece, certainly designed in the same manner to do the same job. So it's cool to see that some of the original Stoner designs would come back into something that Eugene Stoner really didn't like the M16A2. However, they did bring over some of his original thought processes there, which is just cool to look at. I do want to look at some of these magazines. So this is the Brownell's mag. This is the one that it ships with, and it's modeled after one of these. So you can see they're pretty close. Don't mind the color. These were produced in a bunch of different finishes, so close enough. Effectively the same magazine. This is actually an original Armalite AR-10 mag, which is really, really cool to have. The gentleman who sold this gun to me did sell it to me with both of these magazines, so very grateful, very blessed for that. And it's a Brownell did a pretty solid reproduction with this guy here, even down to, these are filled in, but the style of markings are also pretty close, which is neat. No, this is upside down for you guys. Sorry. There we are. And then the other one I have here is an SR-25 mag. This actually came out of Steve Troy's collection. If you've been here before, you know I was also lucky enough and privileged enough to meet Steve Troy and have the opportunity to buy a couple guns out of his personal collection. So I did get this at that same time. This is an SR-25 mag, and it works and functions fantastically in this gun, and it definitely gives it a little bit of a different vibe. It gives it far more of a M16A1 vibe than the waffle pattern. Just cool. I thought I'd point it out. It's really cool that they decided to go with the SR-25 pattern mags, because when there was another time where civilian AR-10s were being produced for the American market, and it was after Armalite had been bought and sold a couple times, and they were putting out, it was about the time that you could get them both either with a flat top Picatinny upper or with an integral carry handle. And unfortunately, that was during the assault weapons ban, and they couldn't manufacture new 20-round mags because 20-round mags scary. So what they did was try to find a widely available and roughly the right aesthetic magazine that they could modify and, you know, but buy in bulk, already produced, so it's not violating the assault weapons ban, modify it to work in the guns. And what they did was basically grind off this lug and then cut this latch into an M14 mag. And there's pictures out there. Ian on Forgotten Weapons, Ian has a video over there of one of those as well. And you can see it would give, you know, roughly the right aesthetics, certainly if you weren't a giant nerd like I am. But I am glad that they went with SR-25 pattern mags, because they are no longer illegal and also just fairly widely available. So you can go buy, you know, a bunch of these from like DPMS or something if you wanted a full loadout for this kind of gun. And that's kind of it. Just a quick and dirty rundown of a gun that I really wanted for a long time, and I'm very thankful to have found. And it's a lot of fun. I wish Harrington and Richardson would take the opportunity to make something like this. From their, I mean, they have the M16 retro line they're doing now. I think something like this would be really cool. Yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity for them. That's a whole separate story. I think PSA in general has a lot of missed opportunities right now, but I won't harp on that too much. If you made it this far, thanks for coming out. Please like, subscribe, catch us over on Instagram at CutRateClones, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.